So I want to start by thanking you for giving me the opportunity to do this. You know, when I first started, I probably would have been too nervous to do something like this.
Yeah.
So now here I am years into it,
Yes.
and feeling comfortable enough to pick the brains of all my sisters. Anyway.
Yes, thank you, thank you.
So thank you, Sister Anne Gray, for giving me this time to speak to you and learn about your journey as a daughter of wisdom. And usually I like to start out by covering your life and starting out with, you know, where were you born and raised, and where did you attend school? Now I know you're a native New Yorker, and you are from Queens. Is that correct? Tell me about that.
Yes. Well, actually, I was born in Manhattan in a maternity hospital called St. Anne's, on the same site that Hunter College later was formed and built. So that was kind of exciting for me to see that. But I did live all my life in Queens.
In Queens.
Yeah, Middle Village.
Your name, Anne, does that have anything to do with that hospital?
Well, in some ways, yes, but my grandmother's name was Anne, and I was born on the day before the Feast of St. Anne.
Okay.
So I think it was destined.
Yeah, you were destined to be an Anne.
Yeah, to be an Anne.
So you grew up in Queens. Where in Queens?
Middle Village.
Middle Village.
Which is like in the middle. They called it Middle Village because it was midway between Queens and Manhattan. So I guess that's how it got its name.
Tell me about your family. Mom, Dad, do you have siblings?
No, I don't. I was an only child. Mom and Dad were Irish immigrants. They left Ireland not because they didn't love it, but because the extreme poverty forced them to come to the United States. So
How old were they when they came to the United States?
they were in their 20s.
20.
So they spent, actually barely 20, both
Did
of
they
them.
come together as a married couple, or did that happen here?
No, that happened here. Although they grew up side by side in Ireland, so they knew each other as children, you know.
Wow.
But yeah, so anyhow, eventually.
Well,
Yeah.
I mean, I hate to pry, but was it part of the plan for the two of them to come to the States together, or did that just happen?
No, there was no plan. They left individually. As far as I know, okay, they left individually. As a matter of fact, I think my mother was in love with my father's brother, but she had to make a choice, stay or go, and so she went. And so did my father, because he was the youngest in the family, and there was nothing for him, no hope, no.
Right, he was the youngest in his family, you're saying?
His family, yes.
And Mom, did she come from a large family?
She did come. She had 6 sisters.
6 sisters?
Yeah, and she was pretty much the youngest in that family.
Now, of the two of them, were they the only ones that came to the States from your families?
No, actually, my Aunt Margaret, that would be my mom's sister, she was already here 10 years before, yes.
So did Mom or Dad ever share stories with you about their early days of being immigrants here? I'm assuming they came through Ellis Island to New York?
Yes, because they had sponsors. Both my father had a sponsor and my mom, so they were kind of okay, and they passed the TB test and all of that, you know. So yes, they had an easy. I don't even think they went to Ellis Island because they had sponsors, so they came
able
straight,
to come right through.
They came right through the harbor, yeah.
Yes.
Yeah.
So they came as immigrants. Did they eventually seek out status as naturalized Americans?
Yes, it took them, you know, it took a while, but they did work on it. And, you know, my dad went into the police department, the typical Irish cop, you know, on the beat. And Mom was in private service, you know, that's where she got all of her taste for good things, you know.
Private service
Private,
to
yeah,
families,
to
other
the
families?
rich, to the rich, yes, yes.
Rich families.
The nouveau riche, you might say. You know?
Is that what she said? Oh,
Yes,
okay.
yes, yes.
So Dad, where did he serve? In the city?
In the city, yes, in the heart. He started out in Harlem, you know.
Harlem, okay.
So that was a tough thing for him because there was a lot of violence, but even back in the day, you know.
Yeah.
And but he gradually settled into the mid Manhattan, the 17th precinct. So it was the best part of the city, you know.
Yeah.
He loved it. He really did.
So let's get back to your childhood. Where did you go to school?
Went to St. Margaret's in Middle Village. It was about 2 blocks from the house. Very easy. Right along St. John's Cemetery. Yeah.
St. Margaret's. What do you recall of your experience there?
It was kind of strict. I found it strict, and it wasn't my happiest time, for sure. It was strict, and you know, being an only child, I often found myself alone. You know, so all of that was hard. That was hard. You know, to just be off there by myself. You know, and most of the time you were scared. You were just scared you were going to do something wrong. You know, and get called for it. So,
a strict environment.
very strict environment.
So St. Margaret's in Middle Village. You survived it and went on
to Our Lady of Wisdom Academy, where
now, was that by choice, or was that just a natural progression from one Catholic school to the other level of education?
it was choice, really. We actually we were given scholarships to the diocesan high school, and I had one of those, but my mom would not hear of my traveling in subways and to Brooklyn.
So at the time, the diocesan high school was
Bishop McDonald's.
Bishop
yeah,
McDonald,
that was the
okay.
big one, yeah.
And of course, Our Lady of Wisdom Academy was much closer.
Oh yes, it
to
was
you.
close. It was a bus ride away, and yeah. So you know, I tried different places, and my dad wanted me to come into Manhattan because he was there all the time. You know, so that was almost a reality. What was it called? St. Lawrence Academy, I think was the name of it. So anyhow, wound up, and I don't know why. I think Wisdom, it was its closeness that my mother said, oh, that's where you should go, you know. But it was love at first sight, that place, you know, because it was like this grotto with flowers and shrubs, and everything seemed to go quietly and peacefully, and you fell in with a whole group of crazy kids, and little, you know, everything, and it was just a lovely opening up, you know.
So I'm assuming the school itself drew kids from all around, different communities.
All around Queens.
And
yes.
they all had to apply.
Yes, you applied, and you
there.
had to be tested also, and so that was past that one. And
So tell me about a good experience there.
well, you know what it was? It was really beginning to have friendships. Okay, it was about friendship and closeness, and you know how we are, we teenage girls. You know, we hunger for that, and so it just happened. You know, people fell in together, and you know, all of a sudden you started talking, and then you started having lunch together, and then you know, it was something that was a great happiness.
Would you say it was your stage, your age, or the environment within which you were that allowed you to open up that way?
I think it was all of those things. It was the stage, the age, and yes, there was that strictness and that kind of like fear that was in the earlier years at elementary education. That wasn't there. We were, you kind of felt like you could be yourself, you know, and if you made a mistake, it was okay too, you know. Our teachers were young. They were young, and they were understanding, you know. They were, and you could just feel it. You could just feel that they were on your side,
Yeah,
say, you know.
that must have been such a wonderful environment or incubator for reaching one's best potential
Yes.
in a safe and secure place set apart from fear and the knowledge that it's okay to make mistakes. I mean, how else do we learn sometimes
That's
unless
right.
we do?
That's
you know,
right.
we're not all naturally gifted.
That's right. Exactly. Exactly. Yeah.
So your teachers, who were the favorites
Yeah.
for
Well,
you?
they
And what were your favorite subjects?
Yeah, well, my favorite subject was always English. Yes, math I just didn't care for very much. It just was something you had to do, you know. But I did love English. I loved to read, and I could, you know, read for hours, uninterrupted. If you know, so it was really the English literature that I liked the best, and then history next, you know, and we had very good teachers, you know. They really taught us well, you know.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Do you remember a favorite teacher?
They were all favorite to me.
Really?
I couldn't say that I had a special one. You know, they all brought a quality of something to it, and so they were all great, you know.
What were some of the things that you were involved in high school?
In high school, I was involved with, let's see now, Glee Club. I was in Glee Club, and I wasn't really in sports because I had a lung issue, and so, you know, I guess it was just quiet things. You know, I couldn't say I was overly involved. I was involved in Mission Club, you know, yeah, and raising money for the missions, that kind of thing. And that was it, really, basically. I wasn't like a shining light, you know. I was just there. Very happy to be there, though, you know.
Yeah. Well, that's terrific.
Yeah.
So, tell me, what were things like towards the conclusion of your senior year, where you was about to graduate and make a decision about the next step in your life, college or career? You know, back then college wasn't always a necessary, especially for a woman.
Yes, that's right. That's right.
Careers, a lot of women went right into careers. A lot of women got married after high school.
That's right.
So tell me the path you chose, and if you could recall why.
Well, you know, that's kind of an interesting question. You know, I guess I was so underdeveloped in so many ways that the thought of leaving that environment of 4 years was overwhelming to me. And I couldn't wrap my mind around leaving and going to college. And when I look back on it, I say, gosh, how crazy you were, you know. But I wanted everything to go on just the way it was, you know, which was so unreal. But what was happening was, in those days, you were eligible to enter, to choose, if you thought and believed you had a vocation to religious life, well, you were eligible to enter after high school. And so many of my friends were entering under high school, entering right after high school. And that seemed to me like a natural progression. What's this going to college business? This is an interruption. Might never see these people again. I can't do that. I want to go where everyone else is going, which is kind of sad. I know my mom and dad came up to say, we don't think she should be entering. She needs to go to college. Then she can make her own decision. But the priest who was in charge of the vocation club said, oh no, if she doesn't go now, she will never go. So being Irish and of deep faith, they said, oh, the priest has spoken, and if that's the case, well, then we have to let her go, okay? So that's one layer of it. you know, and I speak very candidly about how immature that was, how underdeveloped that was. There was another piece, though, that was, you could say, had a reality to it. You know, there was the Father Keller movement back in the 50s. That's how far back. And it was kind of the philosophy of, you know, light a candle instead of curse the darkness, you know. And I remember on hearing that and kind of letting it penetrate me, you know. Well, how do you not curse the darkness? How do you keep the candle lit? And I used to ask myself that question. Well, you know, it's so fragile, the candle's going to blow out, and how do I protect it? And so, you know, I said, well, you can protect it by living this perfect life, you know, this life of calling by God to do good things. And so how can you miss? Because you could miss if you didn't, you know. And so round and round about it went, you know. This is the best thing I can do with my life now, knowing I had all these other sub-motives going on, you know. So very often the reason we enter is not the reason that we stay, you know, and it's as simple as that, you know. We entered as children. So what we have to do, what I had to do, was to grow into it. And you know how growing pains go, so.
Oh, absolutely. I mean, I've always considered how big a decision you sisters made at such a young age.
Yes.
And with such commitment to the promise of what could be. Nothing guaranteed.
No.
Because I learned from each of you that it wasn't always your desire what you were doing or what you wanted to do. It was sometimes someone else's thought about where you were most needed or where you were most valuable in their opinion. And that value sometimes some of the sisters didn't see right away.
I know.
So I understand that, and growing into it, I think that is just a thought that is so genuine in that we all grow into things.
Yes, we do.
We just don't get planted somewhere without growing.
That's right.
So I'm sorry for cutting in, but
Yeah.
so you enter the Daughters of Wisdom. You were what, 19?
I just had my 18th birthday.
18 years old.
Yeah.
And Mom and Dad see you off. Where did you go? Did you go to?
Litchfield.
You went to Litchfield. Okay.
Yeah.
So, got on the train ride?
Yes, we got on the train, all
with
dressed up.
others?
Yes,
Is that where you met some of these people for the first time, or had you known others that would be entering at the same time as you?
I knew, well, it was half and half. You knew a group, you know, but then there was going to be more that you didn't know, yes, so, you know. Well, we were like about 19 or 20.
Wow.
All coming in together, yeah.
Wow.
I know.
So I'm assuming if you went by train, is it that you all left from New York, or did people get picked up along the way?
No, we left from New York, dressed in our postulant's outfit.
So I'm imagining you didn't go with a lot of luggage.
No.
What did you leave with? I'd love to hear about those early days when, well, you really didn't have many possessions.
No.
So tell me about that whole idea and living through that.
Yeah, they made us fill a trunk. We had it with, like, I guess you'd call it a trousseau, you know, with things in it, sheets and blankets and nightgowns and things, you know.
So you had a checklist, like when kids go to school, they have a checklist of supplies.
Yeah, exactly.
You got a checklist.
Got a checklist.
That you needed to bring with you.
Yes, bring with us, that's right.
Okay.
And it traveled separately from us, so that really I don't remember even carrying a pocketbook with that outfit.
Wow.
Yeah, and
So tell me what was in that trunk and what was the purpose of it? Was those were your supplies?
Yes, they were our supplies.
And they wound up meeting up with you at some point?
Yes, at some point it was. Yeah, because they needed sheets and towels up there to keep the
keep everyone
supply
covered,
going.
yeah.
Yes, and for the first 6 months you wore your nightgown and everything,
Right.
and your own. You had your own.
So you had a postulant outfit that you had to wear. Is this something that you had to have made for you?
No, I somehow just inherited it. It was, that's all very vague to me.
Yeah.
But it had to be something that I picked up and brought to the house, because it was just like a black thing, with a cape, and then it had a bonnet that was fluted all around. And I honestly don't remember how it all came together.
Right.
Cause
I asked because I know some of the sisters did indeed sew some of the early habits, and some of them were passed on from one sister to another.
Yeah, I think so.
So I guess there was somewhat of an inventory of them.
Yeah.
And I was just curious about that. But you did wear one of those early postulant habits.
Yes.
Some sisters entered in, I guess, that they didn't go through that stage of habit.
Yeah, well, the later people did not have that. No, that was not necessary.
So did you actually wear the habit that Marie Louise is so often depicted in?
Yes,
You
I
did.
did. I wore it for, I guess, maybe 8 years, 8 or 9 years. Let me think, 55, by 65, yes, it was just maybe 10 years, under 10 years that I wore it, yeah. Yes.
Wow.
Yes, that was all very exciting. It was,
And the clogs.
and the clogs, yes.
You wore the clogs.
I wore the clogs.
The whole time.
The whole time, yes. It was, yes, I did. I wore the clogs the whole time. The, what happened to us, really, in our formation is we just had a year and a half, and it was like being completely cut off from the world, okay? Living in this very contemplative atmosphere. It was wonderful, if you will. But then what happened is 2 days after profession, after you really made that first profession, you were sent out, okay?
For you, that was February 2nd,
Yes,
1955, I believe?
Yes, so it was February 2nd, and...
so 2 days after you were
2 days.
given your charge and sent.
And sent. And, I mean, all we really had with the Marie Louise was a shawl, a wool shawl over our shoulders, and the clogs. And I remember suddenly walking up the subway, the elevator stairs to go to St. John's and like losing one of the clogs on the snowy steps, It was like, oh my God, running down, in the mud to find it and running back up again and catching the train, and all of a sudden, what's happened? Just dropped down, just dropped into a whole reality, a whole new reality, really,
So 2 days afterwards, where were you sent and what were you going to be doing?
Well, we were being sent to school, basically.
Okay.
The college that I never thought I'd be going to.
Were you excited about that?
Yes, I was glad. I thought there was a purpose in this, if I was ever going to be a teacher, which, by the way, I did not want to be a teacher.
Oh, wow.
I wanted to be a nurse,
You did want to be a nurse.
I did. I wanted nursing very much, yes. But that isn't how it worked, It was, they needed teachers. So, if they thought you qualified a little bit, you could,
Right.
So that happens. That I think happened to a lot of teachers. They wound up teaching what they didn't want to teach. But
Really?
anyhow, yeah.
Okay, so your first teaching assignment was where?
Actually, it was back at the academy. No, it wasn't. I shouldn't say that. That's not what happened. We started the college situation for teaching, and there was a call from Canada because the Canadians were having a real trouble with English speaking. The Canadian Quebec. They were into that whole Quebec Libre movement. So they asked the United States to send some English teachers because they did not trust the sisters from the Ontario province, that they just were not cultured enough in French to keep the culture alive in Montreal. It was just a very deep and crazy question. But anyhow, they went by grades, who had the highest grade in French, and it turned out to be another sister and myself. So we got called in to go to Canada.
So you learned French, I'm assuming, in high school as well as in the novitiate?
Yeah, we had some French in the novitiate, not a lot, but in college you had the basic French courses,
Right.
So we got sent to Canada, and so I was really there for 3 years teaching English to French Canadians, and that was like, whoa.
So in what environment were you in? Were you in the public education or the...
Yes, all education.
All education.
Was
so
public.
What level of education was this?
This was high school.
High school.
And it was very new for them because girls really weren't given higher education in Canada and Quebec, in Quebec, So this was like starting a new thing for them.
What year?
That would have been 1955, 56, 57 to 60 I was there.
Wow.
Yeah. Mm-hmm.
Wow, that's not that long ago.
No.
When you think about it.
Yes, that's right. Yeah, home economics was very big, all the domestic arts, but not the classical education.
Education.
Yeah.
For women.
For women, yes.
Wow.
Yeah, very interesting. So
Very.
So there I was teaching English to these French Canadians and living in a totally French environment. Nobody in community spoke English. Nobody. So it was a whole new learning experience. So my first, if you ask the question, what was my first teaching? It was in that environment, of trying to...
How did your French stand up to the Canadian French? Was there a barrier as well for you?
Oh, sure. They didn't even, yeah. See, they respected us, that it was just a very complicated thing, but they had greater trust in the American teaching English to the children than their own kind in Ottawa teaching their children. And I don't understand how that was,
but I'm asking from the point of view for you.
Mm-hmm.
You're up there now, I'm assuming communicating to them in French, from learning French in America.
Mm-hmm.
It's a little bit different, I'm again assuming, than French Canadian.
Yeah.
And then teaching English to those young people, which I'm sure, you probably did a wonderful job. But you were challenged by not only communicating with the youngsters, but the people, adults around you.
Oh yes, that was, Well, their mission was to make sure that we grew in French. They did not want to hear us speak a word of English, okay? So their mission was to teach us.
Was it accomplished?
Kind of, yes. After a while it just seeped in, when you live in the environment, that's what happens,
And how did you feel about your students' progress?
Well, it was all very interesting because, they were so biased in the Quebec school system. They could not agree on an official English text to be used in the schools. So there was no English text. We had no textbooks in English. So what Evelyn Cassidy, my companion, and myself did is we sat down and we tried to reconstruct every fairy tale we had ever known as children and put it into English, narrative, telling the story, and letting the characters react. We just wrote and wrote and wrote, and that was our text. We taught them the fairy tale stories, and it was intense, but they learned vocabulary, they learned the structure of English sentence, and it worked for us, but we had to be creative. We had to be extremely creative.
Absolutely creative.
We had no textbook, and it was in the day of the Mimeo, when you
made your copies.
Smelled of alcohol, remember that? You made your copies madly in time for every class. They were girls. They loved it. They really did. They enjoyed it very much.
Did you feel that you made a good impact on your students? Or equipping them with a new language,
yes,
or
I
a better
think so.
version of a language
Yes,
that they knew.
Yes, I think so. I think they did learn. And you met, there were all kinds of obstacles to their learning, though, because it was the language of the foreigner, and and it was the language of the Protestant. English was the language of the Protestant.
Yeah.
So many of them were forbidden
To speak.
to express it at home.
Now, was it at that point a bilingual province, or was this a movement toward that?
Yeah, well, no. It took a very long time for Quebec to become in any way bilingual.
I think I visited in the mid to late 70s, and I think it was, mostly French speaking, though they did have plenty of venues where they did understand English, but
yes,
the preference was French.
Oh, the preference was French. And the movement, they wanted to secede from the rest of Canada because of that cultural bias that they held, So it was very interesting. All of that was very interesting.
But you must have been taken about by the beauty around you of that city.
Yes, it was. It was a very cultural place. We used to go to symphonies there in Montreal, and it was very, very lovely. Yeah. And in the summer, they had this camp up in the mountains, with the Berkshires, not the the Laurentine Mountains. It was very, very beautiful. Very.
So, you spent a good amount of time there.
Well, it was...
You said 5 years?
No, almost just 3.
3 years.
I came back the year that I was to make final profession, because there was a new provincial, and she didn't want her young sisters out there, out of the province. They knew, so we got called back.
Okay, so you came back preparing for your final vows.
Final vows, but I taught 6th grade then. See, I was going to tell you that my first teaching experience was the 6th grade. But it wasn't. It was Canada was my first experience. Yeah.
So then you came back, and where did you go to teach?
It was in St. Mary Gate of Heaven, 6th grade. It was. I loved those kids. They were so good.
So at that point, when you came back, was St. Mary's largely staffed by the sisters at that time?
Completely staffed.
And the administration as well?
Completely so. Yes. Yeah. So that was it. And
that must have been a good environment for you there, to be around your sisters.
Yes. Well, it was like all of a sudden, like the way it felt walking into Wisdom as a freshman, and discovering, this is nice, people are good. It was almost the same feeling again, being home. When you were away, I remember walking through Grand Central Station at that time, that big flag that was up on the wall. I don't know if it's still there, but I remember standing in front of it and crying, I said, here I am in the Marie-Louise habit, crying, sobbing, looking at the flag.
Feeling of coming home.
A coming home.
There's nothing like it, I could agree with you.
It was a coming home. Yes, it was. So that was a great year. And I was looking forward to coming back to teach, but then They needed
So-
high school teachers.
Yeah, you taught
They
at
moved
St.
up.
Mary Gate of Heaven when you were living in Ozone Park again?
Ozone Park,
At
yes.
that point, in uncommon, familiar ground, rather.
Yes, very familiar,
Yeah.
yes. And very, very packed, crowded bodies all over the place. It was so crowded, yeah.
Yeah.
So, anyhow.
So how long did you stay there, and while you were teaching, did you continue with your own education?
Yes, went back to
Tell
college.
me about that.
Went back, yeah, just picked up where we left off and loved it, and knew I wanted to be an English major. Nothing else would do, so.
And you accomplished that at Hunter College?
I finished it actually at St. John's.
St. John's?
And then Hunter College was where I applied for a master's in theater arts,
Okay.
Nobody approved of that decision, but at that point in my life, I really didn't care.
Oh, so how was it that you wound up going?
Well, I wasn't stopped. Nobody stopped me.
Uh-huh.
I think it was because I had done, as a high school teacher, done a couple of plays, and so they said,
To enhance your own experience.
So then I said, I'd really like to know what I'm doing. I don't know what I'm doing. I'm just doing this on, so I got permission to do it. They really wanted it, people in administration and all of that, but that didn't call me at all,
Yeah.
So I went to Hunter, which was a whole new world.
Yeah, I bet it was. So did you use that knowledge back in the classroom or in the school?
Yes, I did. I really did. Not so much at Wisdom. I was at Christ the King because that opened up,
So you moved on to Christ the King High School
Yeah.
after Wisdom, Our
Yes,
Lady of Wisdom
yes,
Academy?
Yes, yes.
Christ the King, and in there, what grade levels were you teaching?
Kind of like all the grades.
All English
Yeah,
again?
English, yeah. See, a lot of things were happening simultaneously, like really because of the Canadian experience. And Barbara O'Day was being sent to Laval University to study French, and they said she needed a companion, so they asked me if I would apply for that degree with her, because they thought that would be simple enough, So,
So when you say that degree, what
Yeah.
degree are you referring to?
It was a master's in French language and literature. Okay, that's what it was. I got that before Hunter.
Before Hunter.
That all happened, yeah. So Barbara and I were buddies for 4 years going there. Yeah.
Wow.
So, at Christ the King, I wound up teaching some French, teaching some English, and doing the school plays. And also speech club. I did speech club. And so it was all interwoven, And I said to myself, there's so much I don't know in this whole area of artistic pursuit.
Right.
So I asked, and I got the okay to do it,
Yeah.
But,
So tell me, what was one of your favorite productions?
Oh God, so many of them. The first one that we ever did seriously was at Christ the King, and it was The Sound of Music. Okay, and
That's quite an undertaking.
everybody was involved in it. All the sisters were involved in it. All the artistic people like Marilyn Soder and Kay Travers, and they did the sets for it, and it was just like everybody was involved. Joan Oakley, dear Joan, she did the music, and some of the lay teachers that we had played instruments, and it was just this total involvement of everybody, and I did love that very much.
Yeah.
Very much.
I guess you never forget the first.
You never forget the first.
What was
that's right.
the final curtain call?
What was the final curtain
Do you
call?
remember?
Well, nothing other than
Nothing popping out.
nothing popping out, but just the joy of it and the sadness that it was over.
Yeah. So where did you go from there?
Well, from there, life went on as usual, but then we tried one more big one, The King and I. We did that one, and Marilyn Soder and I went looking for props. At that time, Macy's was putting on a great Oriental kind of show. So they had these Buddhas, you know. So they let us take them, you know.
Wow.
Yeah, I know. We had to sign our life away. We had to return them.
You had already done that, though.
Oh, I know, that's right. So we had a great time.
Right.
We had a great time doing that, you know. Yeah, and all kinds of silks and wonderful things that really fit into the decor of the King and I. Yeah, so lovely. It was a lovely time, you know. Then somewhere along the line, my dad started to get sick, and you know, it was like the perfect life, you know, of finally finding some level of that you could feel accomplished in. You know, he got sick, and that was a reality check. You know,
Yeah.
he's sick, and is he going to make it? Is he going to be all right? You know, so. Actually, at Christ the King, what was very interesting is it was within a 10-block walk of my parents' home. So I would work all day, do after-school activities, go home, check out how things are doing, you know, because my mother just wasn't very good at accepting illness. And sometimes I'd sleep overnight and get back up to Christ the King for the morning, and you know, it was a hard reality thing, you know, being the only child. You feel like you have to try, you know, to help your parents, you know.
Sure.
So that was always, yeah, and he did die.
Well, I suppose that you were lucky to be where you are at that particular time.
Yeah.
You know, to be able to go and visit and have some participation in their lives.
Yes, yes. I was always very grateful for that, and the community was very understanding too. They never indicated that, gee, you know, you're home a lot, you know, none of that. They just let it be. And
now, what about Mom and Dad? Were they supportive of the Daughters of Wisdom? Did they get involved in?
Yeah, they were in the auxiliary, the first auxiliary.
The first
there
auxiliary.
Was, yes, oh yes, they were there with Harry Casagrand, you know. And
That would be Sister Ann Casagrand's
Sister Ann Casagrand's dad, yeah.
Yeah.
And yes, they worked very hard on it. You know, my mother was always running card parties, and you know, and they made quite a lot of money actually. You know, I think there was that first group that put the pool in up in Litchfield. You know,
At Wisdom House.
At Wisdom House, yeah. You know, Mother Patrick said, "Oh, my novices don't need a pool." And they just ignored her. They said,
They
yes.
gave you a pool.
They gave us a pool, yeah. So
Well, it just has, in my opinion, enhanced such a lovely place.
Yes.
Having that pool.
Yes, yes.
And having the conversion of that building to a retreat and conference center.
Yes. Oh, gosh.
Is just a wonderful, wonderful thing up there in Litchfield with the programs that are run, the land, the property, and the many features of that alone is something to be proud of, that was able to continue.
To survive, yes, and to grow, you know, yes, definitely.
So, Christ the King High School, you didn't stay there forever, you moved on from there. What was your next step afterwards?
My next step, well, you know, I thought that Christ the King High School would be the place where I would live in, work in, and die in, you know? Yeah. Again, you know.
You were so entrenched.
You know, the entrenchment piece is always
sure.
there, you know. And, but there were terrible school strikes, teacher strikes, you know, because we were not able, as a religious community, to fulfill our commitment to running that school. That was a time when we started losing many, many members, you know. So then a lay faculty came in, and, you know, they were not listened to or negotiated with in good faith by the diocese, you know, and I say that now, you know.
Mm-hmm.
But so it led to violent things like strikes, you know. And at that point I was chair of the language department, so I was in management. I couldn't stand with these lay teachers who were my friends, you know. I couldn't stand with them. That was a terribly violent thing, not to be able to be in solidarity with them. But there was no, I couldn't do that, you know. So after a while, by the third strike, and then seeing the disarray in the school itself and our inability to even educate properly, I couldn't take it anymore. I had to leave.
Mm-hmm.
So I had some surgery then, and when I recuperated, I said, well, I don't know how to do anything except teach, you know. It's always that old fear of, what'll I do?
What next, yeah.
What'll I do?
Who am I?
Who am I, yes. You know, and I mean, Vatican II happened, and it kept, that further made us ask the question, who am I, and what is my purpose, and, you know, what am I doing, you know. So I took a position as chair of the English department at Bishop Ford High School in Brooklyn, Prospect Park. It was a tremendous commute because I learned to drive very late in life, you know. My mother said to me one day, Anne, all your sisters are driving. What is your problem? You know? I said, gee, I never thought about it, you know. So, you know, like, driving was not, like, my favorite thing. And so then the same religious community, the Franciscans, were also teaching at Fresh Meadows in St. Francis Prep. And I said, that's like a commute in heaven. So I applied there, and they hired me there. And I went to St. Francis Prep for 10 years and continued the play thing, you know. Continued that with a wonderful collaborator, John Fisher, who I just spoke to yesterday. He was so gifted. He was far more gifted than I. You know, a set designer, everything. He could do anything. Okay, so we accepted being co-directors together, and which was kind of odd, but. See, for Hunter, I needed to get some kind of a thesis, you know, and so I used lighting. I learned how to do the lighting board, and I wrote that all up in conjunction with the play we were doing, you know, so that was my thesis, and John helped me a lot, you know. I just brought these photos along because I just wanted to show you. Yeah, here was like a cast of students right there. We had a little gathering together, you know. Aren't they lovely?
Wow.
Yeah, I know. They were lovely. And I think that particular cast was, we did a play on St. Francis for the 800th anniversary of St. Francis of Assisi. Now this is I'm going back 20 years now. And they loved it. They loved it. They loved every bit of it. And we learned so much, you know. And we did some straight drama too, like Anne Frank, you know, which was a wonderful challenge to them because they had to be on stage through the entire play. And that, like, you know, no exiting and entering. And yeah, they had to learn how to be ready when the lights came up, you know.
Wow.
Yeah, it was
terrific.
And we had a Jewish rabbi who came in and, you know, kind of talked to them about Hanukkah and about, you know, the Jewish feasts. And it was we made it into a whole interfaith thing, you know.
Quite a learning experience.
It was a great learning experience, yeah. Mm. And I often think of Anne Frank in life, you know, when she says, you know, I believe that things will be better and men will be good. You know, men, she used in the generic sense, but, you know, her optimism. Sometimes we need to say it to ourselves.
For humanity.
In these times, you know, it will be better. You know, even if it you know, she died in concentration camp, you know.
Yeah.
So, yeah. So, you know, we did a lot of things, good things. And now, why did I really leave St. Francis Prep? I'm trying to remember. I think I just said to myself, I wanted to leave while I still had an ability to relate to students, you know. And you're good for a while with the adolescent population, you know, you can manage that, you know, but I wanted to have a relationship with older young people, you know. And so St. John's was offering this fellowship, you know. Everyone was mad at me. You could go to a better place than St. John's. But it was a teaching fellowship, okay? So I taught for them during the day, and then they gave me free courses for my doctorate at night. So that's why I left.
That was a pretty good deal.
I know. Of course, by this time, you know, I'm not a young chicken anymore. I guess I must have been. I was in my 50s. Yeah.
When you got your doctorate.
Yeah, yeah.
That's terrific. That is amazing.
But that's what I did do, you know. So, because
Your doctorate was in what?
Well, it was in American poetry, American literature and poetry.
Wow.
I did the poetry of Elizabeth Bishop, you know. And then people say to me, you couldn't do better than that. This is my friend.
Who did you choose?
Elizabeth Bishop. It wasn't
Bishop.
It wasn't a casting out. It was just, did you have to get it in English, and did you have to write one more boring dissertation on a poet? You know.
Why did you choose?
Why did I? Well, I just see. English was always my love, and you know, I noticed that not much was written on Elizabeth Bishop. You know, she was a postmodern poet, and she spent a lot of time in South America, and she was kind of very shy and retiring, and didn't want the limelight. And I found her poetry just so exquisite, so, you know, so classical and traditional, and so I just took her on, you know, and said. So
now there is more written about Elizabeth Bishop.
Oh yes.
Thanks to you.
Yes, Elizabeth Bishop has started to really come under scrutiny. So anyhow, that was that, and.
So you had your doctorate degree.
Yeah, right.
50 years old. Have had quite a number of years under your belt as a teacher at all levels, and ultimately the college level.
College level, yes.
Where did you find yourself after your experience teaching high school? Or college, rather. College,
yes. Yeah. Well, my mom was ill.
Mom?
Yeah, she was in her 90s then, you know. And so I spent some time with her until her death, really. And then in between all of these things, what really, I think, changed my trajectory somewhat was finding a different quest for God. I still remember the year 1988. And it was, we started to talk about wisdom literature and the possibility of God being other than a patriarchal father in the sky, you know. Because I had no really studies in religion at all, you know, theology or anything. I was just bypassed that completely. I wasn't interested in it, you know. Which I often regret because there's so much I don't know, you know. But it seemed so, like a world opened up, you know, the attributes of God, the place for a feminine spirit was like, what? What is this, you know? And it was so... the word freeing you felt a connection with all things. You know, it's very hard to put this into language.
I think you're doing a good job.
Yeah, but the thing is that
It's sort of liberating feeling
yes,
to realize that it's not
yes,
just delegated to one
yes,
aspect of understanding, but something much broader.
yes, the quest for God is so, and now it's just taking on, you know, greater cosmic possibilities. So there's just so much. What does Leah DeLeo say? The wholeness, the incredible wholeness of being, something like that, you know. So, yeah, so you know, all of this was going on, and I just became enamored of it, if you will. You know, it responded to the poetic side of myself, and so we, you know, I guess it was the Wisdom Colloquia, and this was before you came to us. It was just at the turn of the century, you know, and entering it. We had a series, I think, of 5 colloquia on wisdom, all different aspects of wisdom, wisdom, justice, wisdom of the earth. It was just very engrossing and all-consuming, you know. We tried to delve into it as deeply as we dared, you know. And
So when you say wisdom, you delved into wisdom, the understanding of the spirituality of wisdom as St. Louis de Montfort saw it, or
yes,
is that...
yes. I mean, always, we believe that Montfort, as mystic and poet, was always looking for the same thing. But, you know, because he quotes all of wisdom literature in love of eternal wisdom. He just doesn't... See, the pronoun, we're cursed with the pronoun he, his, him. You know, in French, it's feminine, you know. And so that quality stays over everything, yes. But no, we believe that Montfort really understood this. Of course, for him, you know, wisdom is Jesus. You know, but you know, we're at this point in our evolution where we need to pause, you know, and say it is the feminine spirit that lives in Jesus. Without, you know, I mean,
Right.
there's no separation.
Was a symbiotic kind
yes,
of relationship there.
Absolutely. And the words of Jesus are so much the words of Sophia. You know, so many people didn't understand. They thought we were adoring goddesses. Well, that was not what we were doing, you know. No. So, but, you know, with every new discovery, you know, it takes a balance. And
you open the door to a greater understanding. At least that's my take on it.
Yes.
There's no boundaries, really. It's limitless.
Yes.
In terms of all the things that intersects.
Yes, exactly.
You know, that understanding of God, wisdom, Sophia, you know, adoring Jesus and Mary.
Yes, oh yes.
Right?
Yes, of course.
And understanding
Mary.
the value of both.
That's right, yes.
Anyway, so
yeah, okay.
You, from a very shy, self-proclaimed introvert, stands before a classroom teaching, sharing education for many years, but ultimately you find yourself in leadership with Daughters of Wisdom.
Yes.
So
I have no idea how that happened.
Did that happen?
I don't know. To
You
this
don't
day,
know.
I don't know. I honestly do not know how it happened. But it did. It happened. And again, it was a call, you know. I just... I don't know. It's funny. You know, most people go into things well thought out and discerned. It doesn't happen to me that way. It just happens. It just kind of explodes in front of me and I go into it, you know. But I have to say that I did love my time in leadership. I did. And
You served for 2 terms.
2 terms, yes, yes.
And tell me a little bit about that. That was quite a change
Yes,
from being a classroom teacher
absolutely.
to being teacher, mother, administrator, organizer for 8 years.
Yes, it was 8 years, right. When it was time for the second term, I know 2 sisters said, "Oh, she's too old for this. She can't." But they were the only 2 who said that, so I was very grateful. Very grateful. Yeah, yeah. You know, it was a time of. I have to say that because I was so unprepared for it, literally unprepared, I just sought help. I didn't say I'm going to pretend my way through this. I can't, you know. So at one of the meetings, one of the LCWR meetings, I met this facilitator, Donna Fife, and there was something about her that was just so strong and clear-sighted. And so I asked her, I invited her to come, you know, just to talk to all of us and to help me, you know, at least strategize in the right direction, you know, and whatever the right direction was. And she did. She came and she was so helpful and gave us good advice, you know. I mean, I found in my 8 years that we started up a lot of different things that were so good, one of which was hiring you. That was at the end.
Thank you.
That was at the end of my, I know I have two things I'm proud of. I hired you and I hired Andre, and I said, we've got it.
Isn't he the best? I know. I don't know. I think I might give my gold star to Andre. Far more skilled than I am.
No comparison. Just 2 different needs, 2 different. So you know, yes, it was really good, which is part of the sadness now. You know, that we're ending things rather than beginning things. You know, but have to always give honor to the moment that we're in and to the wisdom of the people who are here.
Well, I don't know. What do you mean by ending?
Yeah, I don't know. You know, like it's you know, province to delegation, not encouraging anyone to pursue a vocation within, you know, all of those kinds
of changes.
Those kinds of changes.
Well,
but, you know, yeah.
If you consider, that could just be a moment in time where we have to sit back and deal with the reality of what we look like.
That's right.
And it's not that vocations are not happening around the world through the Daughters of Wisdom.
That's right.
They are.
That's right. That's right.
And I just think it's a lull in the music. That's my gut feeling.
Yes.
So I'm going to go with that.
Okay, that's good. A little rest, a rest.
Just a lull.
Yes, a lull.
Honestly,
I think that's really.
That's how I feel.
Yes.
And I mean, if you look at some of the way religious life has had its up and downs over the centuries.
Yes.
It has its ups and downs.
Oh yes, very definitely.
Yeah.
And we have to respect what it is becoming. And I just say that. You know, we're all different eras and different energies and different moments. The moment in time, that's really what it is, you know. One of the things you speak about our international, and I do hope that we will do well internationally, but, you know, that was part of my leadership that I loved also.
Let me see that. Put that up so we can see it.
This was the international JPEG. Can you see it? Yes. Yes, and you know, that was that whole internationality that you just spoke of. Okay, is just so rich and beautiful.
So tell me a little bit about JPEG, because I know for as long as I've been around, that's been one of your passionate, one of your passions to head up all the new movements that surround JPIC
Yeah.
committees and organizations around the world. Tell us about your efforts in that.
Yeah, well, actually, I got assigned to JPIC after leadership, I did a retreat sabbatical, and then when I came home, there was a letter waiting for me. Would you accept this position? And I said, of course, of course. So that's where it started.
So when we talk about
Post-leadership.
JPIC, this is something that is international throughout the
It
congregation of the Daughters of Wisdom.
Yes, it is.
But there are other committees throughout congregations as
Oh,
well,
yes.
religious congregations.
Oh, yeah.
Some people might not be familiar with what that JPIC stands
That's
for.
right.
What does it stand
stands
for?
for-
How did it come about?
Yeah, well, the USIG, that's the International Leadership Group, supported it. Justice, peace, and the integrity of creation. And so that's their justice vehicle, their vehicle for justice. How did it come about? I don't know how old it is, really. It came out of a movement of see, judge, act, to see what's happening, to judge it wisely, and then to take action. So it's a whole justice circle of, of arriving at action, but not before looking at it carefully, studying it.
So when you use the word creation here, what's the parameters there? What are we talking about?
Integrity,
everything,
creation, everything in the world.
everything
yes.
in the world.
Yeah.
People,
Yes. Oh, sure.
places,
people, places, the earth itself,
the earth,
the
the
cosmos, the water, the air. Yeah, it's everything. The integrity, everything working together. I mean, and that's I think why, again, the Laudato Si business got kind of latched on to JPIC, because that certainly is about the integrity of creation. Pope Francis, so.
Yeah.
So that's where we're at,
So throughout all this, you were always active within your own community, in the churches, and you have served in many capacities as well there. Most recently, you've had a shift in your residency from city girl to country girl.
That's right, country girl. It's very lovely. The trees in the sky, the stars in the moon, it's all there.
Yeah, and well, you're not fully retired because you're still involved. Tell me about what keeps you going these days.
Well, okay. It's actually networking is very helpful because we have a whole group of other JPIC women in different religious orders, and we come together and pool our resources as much as we can. Like I'll give you an example of one thing that we did work on. In the ballot of the recent elections, but there was the clean water, how do we call that? Clean air, clean water. And we worked at trying to get that into the ballot, by...
That proposition.
That proposition, exactly. So, it's things like that. When you network, you become much more effective.
Right. And grassroots, I think, my opinion again, that has or had been some of the most effective means of getting the word out, but the information behind it out as well, as opposed to the advertising and what are we talking about? Any form of media advertisement. It was that person-to-person contact. In at least our last elections, that got that information out so much more successfully than some of the disinformation out there, and the effort it takes to put a kibosh on the disinformation and then represent the information
Exactly.
in a timely way through the media.
Yes.
Word of mouth.
Yes. Oh, yes.
With people that you can trust.
Absolutely.
And again, trust, integrity, in character.
That's exactly
plays
right.
a big role.
Sure it does. Yes.
So,
yeah. No, I hear everything you're saying. I appreciate network, and you talk about grassroots. We're the Grassroots Alliance for Network Lobby, and we have a network lobby person who always comes on our calls, and she lays out her interests that, we'll support, and write letters and all kinds of
all
things.
important things
I
that
know.
for those who can do it and it gets done,
Yeah.
it has a great impact.
It does. It does. It's a lot, and sometimes you just want to say, "Oh, okay." There's too much happening at the same time. Oh, and then to answer your question, there's one thing that I've become involved in, and that's it's called the Long Island Immigration Clinic. It is really a ministry of the Sisters of St. Joseph. We gave a wisdom grant to them. But I asked if I could volunteer there, and so I am with Evelyn Lamoureux. The two of us are there. She was interested also. And for the last 3 weeks, we've worked with a Haitian couple seeking asylum, and it is no easy task to seek asylum. There's an application that's 12 pages long. It is so intricate and repetitive and detailed that they need someone to walk them through it. And that's the work. I said to the little team that I work with, it's like a drop in the ocean. It's nothing that we're doing when you see the whole vast immigration problems, but still.
But still, if it wasn't getting done, you would not be chipping away at anything.
Yeah.
And for the people that come seeking asylum, they probably are so overwhelmed with requirements that they really are clueless about.
Yeah.
And for someone on this side of it to be as maybe overwhelmed by what's being asked and being able to assist the person through that process as well.
Yes.
I'm sure at some point you'll get to where this is the process and you understand it, and it becomes easier for you, not necessarily those seeking asylum. I think a lot of people don't understand that when you seek asylum, it's not just putting your foot over the border and you're here.
No.
And that process could last years.
For years, yes, I know.
Oh.
I'm hoping that this will move faster, because we do have some pro bono lawyers immigration lawyers that check it out, and they told us last week that we had a very good case. By the way, we had to train for this, because you just can't walk in off the street and do this, so
right.
So
I'm certain that you need to know the law, the regulations, and all that as well.
I'm learning
Again, most people don't understand that. There's a workforce behind this as well.
I know. Yes, there is. Yeah. So it's all kind of a whole new thing, But I don't know.
It's a terrific way to be involved.
Yes, it is. And it's a sitting down kind of thing, I mean, my arthritis is getting worse. I have to sit on a pillow. It's pretty embarrassing, all the time. Bring a pillow.
You're there.
I'm there.
You're there.
But, what you do is you just adjust the activity to the body and hope you can do it for a little while, and
for as long as you can.
as long as you can, right? So is this the end?
Well, no, I don't think so for you. I think you'll continue to contribute no matter where you are, for as much as you can.
As much as I can.
And who else would ask for more? But I do want to thank you for your time and for sharing your journey with us. And I look forward to the next thing you take on. We'll see how things go with the immigration clinic. It's a necessity these days.
Yes.
And a terrific service to bringing justice to people.
Yes. Thank you. And thank you very much. Thank you for doing this.
Any final thoughts?
Any final thoughts? Oh gosh, it's all been good. Is all I can say.
Well, I'm glad you've contributed that, because I always ask, how is your life? And that's the answer I typically get.
Is it? That's good. Wonderful.
Okay, thank you.
Thank you.